Welcome to the Exceed Grain Site Selection video. This is a map using demo data only of all the potential grain procurement locations in Western Canada, including new and existing sites. The darker and larger the green dots, the higher the expected grain procurement volumes. Clicking on the legend highlights all the locations where over 350,000 tons of total grain procurement are forecast. This video will show you how we find the best grain procurement sites in Western Canada. The process begins where the previous video ends. For more information about how the underlying supply and demand are estimated, please see the Exceed Grain Supply and Demand video. The first step in the process is to identify all possible locations for grain procurement. This graphic identifies all locations where an asphalt road crosses a railway track in Western Canada. While not all of these locations will actually be potential sites because of availability and suitability issues, including all the locations guarantees that we find the very best opportunities and that no potential opportunities are missed. We then estimate freight rates for all new locations based on surrounding freight rates, multi-car freight rate incentives according to the new elevator specifications. We now model each new potential site as a trade area inside the current grain handling network while assuming no other changes to the system. This graphic shows selected new site trade areas for a 130 rail car elevator. Two types of trade areas are estimated. First, the primary trade areas, or the non-overlapping catchment region within the current network. Primary trade areas identify the region of geographic advantage. This means that the net grain movement between primary trade areas would be zero in a perfectly competitive world. But this isn't always the reality, and so we include overlapping secondary trade areas to ensure a complete analysis. The next step is to overlay the current trade area network for each crop over the new potential trade areas and estimate the supply and demand. Note that a vegetative cover map is used to ensure the highest level of accuracy. The model can now be calibrated using the performance of a current grain network in order to ensure expected sales estimates are realistic. For example, we can filter which crop years of data we would like to use. We can adjust inter-trade trucking flows, both inflows and outflows. We can adjust the new build competitiveness relative to existing elevators based on railcar spots. We can also adjust new build competitiveness within the primary and secondary trade areas, and we can choose which crops to include in the analysis. After the model is calibrated, we apply the model to all other potential grain delivery locations, which produces a complete supply and demand table for each new site. The end result is a map of expected grain procurement volumes at all locations. Let's adjust some of the model parameters to run a new scenario. For example, let's adjust the current trucking inflows downward to reflect a less aggressive marketing campaign for secondary trade area producers. And then let's adjust the capture of current trucking outflows upward within the trade area to account for a stronger focus on primary trade area producers. Notice how the site selection data on the map changes. Additional scenarios can be developed by changing crop years, the number of crops included, and primary and secondary trade area competitiveness. The end result is a comprehensive site selection analysis that ensures we find the best opportunities and at a level of accuracy conventional methods simply can't match.